All right, St. Louis, I'm going to take you someplace that I don't think many of you have traveled. We're going to totally look beyond the physical constructs of reality. We're going to go into the spirit. We're going to go into the molecular subatomic. We're going to literally magnify the matter 5 billion times smaller, and as a result, we're going to be able to see what we were incapable of seeing before. Buckle your seatbelts. It's time. We must begin to understand that all that we have been taught, all has been taught by the mind that hadn't achieved the deeper level of development to know that it didn't know. So as a result, it continued to follow that same trajectory down a path of destruction, which ultimately lead to the graveyard. Many of you pass graveyards every day, but what those graveyards are is a different sound. Anyone that's in the graveyard, they're not there, but they went there. Unfortunately, the sound itself had diminished, and as a result, it was susceptible to diseases and bacteria and murder and rape. But the murder, rape, and bacteria and disease is just information that we call murder, rape, and disease. It's an algorithm. That's all it is. I want you to begin to understand that we never understood. And the reason we didn't understand is because we lack the intellect to understand. Many of you think just because you went to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, or an Ivy League school, you're intellectually astute. You may have won the Nobel laureate. You may have won all kinds of scholarships, but yet you are winning scholarships and Nobel laureates in darkness. In other words, you're living in a place that's billions of years away from the truth, but yet you can't distinguish beyond where you dwell and acknowledge it as being the lie because you can't process the truth. We must begin to understand that we're driving a car with gasoline, and as a result of the gasoline, it has to create a certain sound in order for it to cause you to move what you think is forward, but it's moving your mind. Your neurons and synapses are causing you to catapult forward, but you're not really moving as you perceive yourself as moving. We must leave that place of space and time. It's a false reality or false construct of reality. In other words, it's material. And the more material it becomes, the greater the negative sound it is. In other words, you're living in darkness, but yet you don't know you're living in darkness because you were born in darkness. How can you know that something's true and you can't comprehend beyond where you dwell? And as a result of not being able to comprehend, you can't even refute what needs to be refuted because you can't even come up with an answer or question that will help you to understand what there is to understand. You can't even formulate a question. That's how lost society has come and how society is. Many of you can see that I'm driving my car, but it's what we named it. But before I can drive it, the mind must be able to encode the information and data that cause me to move forward, which I'm really not moving forward as it appeared to be. Everything is moving forward in my mind. So as a result, it looks as though I'm moving forward. My mind is doing the driving. My mind is encoding the information and the data, and as a result of encoding the information and the data, all appears to be as it is. If you're interacting with someone else, you're going to basically come together and interact as if you guys are right next to one another, but you're interacting with them at the molecular subatomic level that creates form, and as a result, it calls you to go in the direction of death. and you formulated false religion, false doctrine, and that false doctrine has articulated your inability to understand the truth, and you built your house in hell, in darkness. We must begin to understand that we must change our latitude and longitude. You can't look at the road in which you're on or the building in which you dwell in. You can't look at that, because that's depending upon your sound. It's going to determine whether or not you can literally reach the speed of light beyond the constructs of what you've established with your broken mind. I'm trying to get you all to understand that we are unfortunately more powerful than you can even perceive that you are. We've been looking for God outside of us. God is not outside of us. You have the ability to become a perfect light, a perfect sound, which is known as God. You're thinking, well, how can I become God? Just imagine if I had 5,000 pieces of material and all of them had different frequencies. 5,000. Because if they had the same frequency, I wouldn't have 5,000. Because those that have the same algorithm would somewhat mash together with the same sound. So it's going to minus what I think was 5,000. However, the one material that possess a perfect sound will be able to be seen by those that are part of the 5,000. However, that one piece of material is now literally moving faster, because it's literally removed itself from space and time, and as a result, that piece of material is no longer of the world. It's in the world, but it's not of the world. It's in a different system. That's where we must travel. We must come to the realization that in order to reach the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, 300,000 kilometers per second, we must remove ourselves from the gravitational pull, the gravitational wave. And in all honesty, you're really not moving. You just stop time. Time is death. You're dying. Time. 60 seconds equal a minute. 60 seconds, 60 minutes equal an hour. 24 hours in a day, 365 days in a year. 365 times 70 times 80. That means your clock is decreasing. And as a result, you're dying. You're dying because you got weight. You're being weighed down, and you're staying in a place in which you never reached the level to rise above where you dwell. Once you literally remove yourself from time, you change your sound, because time is death. However, you're not going to know that this is possible unless you've reached a level of mind to be able to understand that you've now became what you were seeking to find. We're in trouble. However, I'm one to believe that energy just changed states. Solid, liquid, vapor. It just changes gas. It just changes states. And if we can get to that perfected state minus friction and heat, you will literally change your place in space and time. I'm smarter than you think. So are you. You're smarter than you know. I'm fearless because I know something in which we all must come to the realization that we all are capable of gaining, which is knowledge beyond measure. God bless. Stay tuned. It's time.